Good afternoon. Today marks the 10th day since Mr. William Bill Grange went missing from the Cambridge Beach Resort in Sandys Parish. The Bermuda Police Service continues to search for him. If anyone fitting the description of Mr. Grange is observed, engage this individual and contact the police as soon as possible. Members of the Grange family, both close and extended, continue to search for him. The Nursing Association, as well as the Cambridge Beach Resort family, continue to make proactive efforts, organizing and conducting searches of various locations throughout the island. Both land and marine-based units will continue with their efforts, and the public is encouraged to remain vigilant, actively searching and reporting all possible sightings to us. I would like to take this opportunity to commend the efforts of every volunteer, every organization that has assisted us in searching for Mr. Grange. I remind any resident who has security cameras to check any recorded footage that may determine if Mr. Grange is in the island, or any images that may capture him to give us an idea where he could be located. Any person who has any information should immediately call 295-0011 or email myself at mclarke@bps.bm. Anyone who has seen or may have information on the whereabouts of Mr. Grange is to contact the police main contact number 295-0011 and immediately report any relevant information. For this, I thank you.
Can't believe I'm standing here a week after I was switched on up in front of you. I first want to thank again everybody that is involved in this search, the Bermuda Police Department, the public, the Cambridge Beach Resort, all my friends, family, and colleagues that have flown in to help with the search. And my friends have been searching from top to bottom of the island, every parish. We talked to hundreds of people, and there's one thing I know for sure is that the word is out. Everyone knows that my dad is missing. And I also know that this is an unprecedented event that's happened here as it relates to the amount of effort the police are putting in and the public and how they are helping. And we're extremely grateful for all the help that every Bermudian is giving us and visitors to the island. On behalf of my family, my mom, my brother, and all the grandkids, again, we just implore all Bermudians to get out there. Please still continue to search. Every time we're out, we see dozens and dozens of people doing the same thing. And we need you to get off the roads and into the backyards, into the sheds. If you haven't checked on your boat in a while, please just take a quick little tour out into the harbor to check your boat. We don't believe he's still up and walking. We believe he's probably bunkered down somewhere, in a shed, underneath the stairs. It could be in an abandoned house. I've searched many abandoned houses while I've been on the island. So please get off the road, go search somewhere in a neighbor's house or your house or whatnot. Ask your neighbor if they've searched their house. We need to be very active, please, to make sure my dad is found very soon. Again, thank you very much. It's been an emotional 10 days, but we are going to find him with your help. I know it in my heart. I know it in my soul. Thank you.
Members of the media, would you like to address your questions to Mr. Grange or Mr. Clarke?
Yes, I have some questions for both. First, to Inspector Clarke. Although this is extremely rare, this disappearance of someone in 21 Mile Island, one has to ask, how long are police prepared to continue the search? It's been 10 days so far.
We will continue the search for Mr. Grange. It has been unprecedented, and in the past 10 days, we've been very proactive. And now we actually have to transition into a period of reactive, meaning that any calls for service, anytime anybody has any information, we will respond and react accordingly. It is not something that we can actually, with the volume of volunteerism, it's something that we can only judge by the numbers, and we will continue our search.
Have you had any clues, at least? That's what makes it a bit very rare. There's been no clues or sightings that we know of compared to other incidents. Comment on that?
Yeah, it's clues, it's information. Everything is information, and we responded to every call for service, every information, every possible site, and every potential site. And we know that John has actually spoke to people who have seen him. We have followed that up. But the question now arises, where could he be? That's the question that we haven't got that information stream to find that out.
Inspector Clarke, at the risk of being insensitive, might I ask, what was Mr. Grange's mental, physical, and emotional state the last time he was seen?
I can only go on what I've heard. I did not personally see the state of mind he was in. I know often my dad will go for a walk if he's just has some stuff on his mind and needs a little bit of fresh air. I believe he went for a walk and walked for a period of time and realized he shouldn't be walking any further and turned around and couldn't remember where the resort was. And what happened after that, I'm not sure.
The fact that he hasn't had his medication in 10 days, has that happened before? Has he gone?
No, the medication he's been on, he's been on it for about a year. So this is the first time he's ever been off of it. I'm certainly not a medical expert, and I can't comment on what the actual effects will be on him. But I know that while on medication, he had no seizures. While he wasn't, he was having seizures. So we're hoping the medication will stay in his bloodstream for a period of time. I have no idea what that is. But I'm assuming he is somewhere where he is not mobile. And why that is, I can't comment on. But that's...
Has the search strategy changed at all?
It has changed from proactive, meaning that we're out there ahead of everything and doing, to a reactive, whereas we're more responding to calls for service, to possible sightings, to potential information streams that may come in to actually explore.
Does that mean you have less officers actually out on the ground now then?
No, it does not mean that we have less officers. What it means is that the officers that are actually here on duty will be responding to calls. What it means is that the Marine section will continue to actually actively search the shorelines and any possible areas above and below just to see what we haven't covered, what stone we haven't unturned. What it means is that we can no longer have the reliability of, say, having 62 to 80 people out at night. You know, it doesn't mean that we have actually stopped looking for them.
So, but how many officers do you actually have physically active involved? Because I know initially on a week ago you were saying that there were perhaps, I think you said 2 teams of 5, that was initially, and then it stepped up and went further. So how many are actually physically involved in the search now?
At this point in time, we probably won't go into specifics of numbers. Suffice to say that I think the broad picture that we want to stay with is the fact that the investigation has turned into a different phase. The resources will be used according to what the officer that responds deems is necessary for that time.
Sure. But I'm sorry, I don't understand why you can't say, I mean, I know at the weekend you said that there were about 100 officers and regiment and civilians out searching, and I tried to establish how many officers were actually involved in the search, and I wasn't able to get an answer. And so I'm just trying to establish, has that number come down, or
It's
what?
very hard to say, because officers in the general commissioning of their job, you have officers on watch, they will go out. So I think what we're trying to say is that we're specifically not, you cannot at this point say how many officers will be involved, because they now be reacting to calls that actually come through.
So is it true to say that you don't actually have any officers at all specifically targeted to the search? They're just officers out on general patrol who, if they hear something, are going to be assigned to it? Is that correct?
Well, in the strictest sense, that wouldn't be correct. I mean, today Marine Section are out. Today, we actually have other officers out. What you're asking is a numerical number, and it would not be fair to say that if I said 10, but there's 30 people looking. If I said 20, and then you have off-duty officers who have not called in, it would be unfair to actually say a numerical number at this stage, because even from Mr. Grange, every person he speaks to says they've checked their yard. Every person he speaks to says they've checked other people's yards. Police have gone on duty and off duty and checked. The railroad shows have checked areas on their own time. So it would be unfair to actually say numerically what numbers are going to be out there. If and when we get information that leads us, that says that they've seen and have a possible sighting, all our resources are directed towards there at the relevant time.
What actually prompted the decision to change it from proactive to reactive?
Well, it's a decision that Mr. Grange and I, as well as the member of the service, we had to take. We had to take. It's not because of a lack of effort. It's not because of a lack of desire. It is just that at some stage at day 10, we cannot sustain the level of responsive numbers that we've had.
Okay,
Sir, one last question. You were a head trauma. Did your father have a state form of dementia, or what's the state of the mind?
Can you repeat the question? I think there was two questions.
You were at head trauma.
My father suffered, he had a number of, we call it brain trauma, or a brain injury. But he had a number of TIAs a number of years ago that the ultimate effect was he lost his short-term memory. So he remembers, as I mentioned in the last press conference, he remembers things way better than I do from back in my childhood. And if things repeat themselves over a period of time, he will remember them, like his granddaughter's names. But if he met you, and then came back 5 minutes later, he would not remember you.
And your mom, how's that?
My mom's devastated. She's having a rough time, but you know what? She's out there right now looking. And what gives her strength are the multitudes of Bermudians that are out there looking with her.
Thank you, sir.
any other questions? Sir?
I understand there's a Facebook page been set up. Your thoughts on the idea, how it can help?
You know, that this was a random gentleman that set it up. And anything that's out of the box can help. He was in contact with us last night, and there was a race that went on in the island yesterday or the day before, and he's calling Facebook to see if they can run some facial recognition software on the faces and the pictures that are associated with that event. So there is, as we discussed earlier, there is no bad idea at this point. So drones, dogs, Facebook, Twitter, everything's being used, and we need to keep doing that. So, and people continue, please, if you see someone on the street, stop him and ask the question, are you William Bill Grange? He goes by Bill. And he will stop and say, yes, I am. So please do that.
Are you getting any assistance from the Canadian government, the Canadian Council,
Yes, I am. They've been very good.
in terms of what are they doing?
I'm in constant contact with the consulate here in Bermuda, Heather, and in contact with her head office in New York. We've also been in contact with authorities back with the Canadian government, just to give us some advice on how to go about things and deal with the situation.
Okay, any other questions?
That's about it.
Thank you. Danny?
Yeah, just one more, and I don't mean to sound insensitive or callous, but has the expectation in terms of the end result of the search, has that changed?
No.
For either one of you?
No, absolutely not. I'm standing here today because I believe he is alive. My mom is out searching today because we believe he's alive. my friends and colleagues keep flying in to Bermuda because we believe he's alive. Everything in my being is telling us, myself and my family, that there is no other option at this point. So,
Okay. Members of the media, thank you so much for your time.
thank you.